Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Mythgard in Middle-earth. My name is Corey Olsen, the Tolkien Professor, joined as always by my friend Gryfflet, who's doing a little shopping. I guess he wandered quickly by the stores last time, noticed how well stocked they are, and decided this is where he wanted to spend his week, which makes sense. Fairly typical. But, Gryfflet, we're supposed to be turning in all those quests that you did last week. You have accomplished so much. Your first full round of tasks here in Aldburg. Our leisurely trip to Aldburg. While the army is marching with great urgency towards Helm's Deep, and Éomer is swiftly getting the people prepared to go to Dunharrow. And we got the time. We got the time to wander around, do some light construction, undertake some hunting. I love it. Okay, oh wait, hang on a second. Oh, right. I forgot, I already did turn them in. Right, okay, yes, of course, right. I turned them in and I was told to scout the camps. So there are 3 orc camps, like 2 of which he knew of and 1 of which he didn't, but apparently we're going to find it. So we have to go scout the orc camps, and then we forgot to do the craftsmen. That's right, I remember. Okay. All right. Back we go then. Took a trip into the mead hall for me to remember that I'd already been there, but that's okay. Where are these craftsman persons? Behind the mead hall, huh? Inside the walls? According to the mini-map? Well, let's see about that. Let's just see about that. Oh. Got a little moat action around this mead hall? That's the wrong way, Gryfflet. There we are. A little waterfall moat action. I mean, it's not exactly a moat, I guess, on this side. It kind of is, but... Alright. Alright, so the guy's fighting in the bushes. Okay. Okay, there's the wall. There's the wall. So, oh, here's a breach in the wall. And guys dancing on the other side of it. Okay. I think I found the camp of the theoretical workmen. They're busy feasting and drinking. Right. Yes. Okay. I can't wait to see. What's my present participle going to be? They're doing a sword dance. You guys aren't going to hurt yourselves. Kind of looks like this guy might decapitate himself at any second. For your own safety, sir. Why are you frowning at me? There is cheer enough to go around. The work can wait, but the beer will not last. It sounds like a bumper sticker, doesn't it? The work can wait, but the beer will not last. You say Arcil wants us to work? Pah! You think you can end my merriment? I would like to see you try. Yeah, I think so. Oh! Oh, is that the way it is? Do you have any idea who you are dealing with, good sir? Okay. Yeah. How about this boorish worker? I can't knock any sense into this dude? No. Okay. This one is just going to carry on. I don't know what it is that you're doing. But maybe he will remain as the mascot. Look at this one, boys. Grab a tankard and a crust, friend. Give us a tale or three, and we will raise a cup if it be good. Oh, I see how it is. You are here to get us working. I say we make Arcil do the labor, or maybe have you do it. We'll do it when we're good and ready. So maybe make me do it. What, like the Dunedain? I am inclined to add. Yeah, you better work. That's enough, huh? The rest of them are gonna get to it. Look at this. Look at the Loth Bears just kind of circling around here. But you keep dancing, dude. You keep dancing. All right. Well, that was fun. Those are enormous mushrooms. They don't look especially wholesome, though. All right. Okay. I'm going to run back into Arcil and turn that one in, just because he might very likely give me another follow-up. By the way, I accidentally solved a little mystery. You know how I've recently been kind of complaining that my picture is dark? Which it has been at times. I think I solved the problem. The problem is purely physical and not game-related at all. Well, it might be some game component, but it's mostly physical because I was overlooking an interesting factor, which is I got a new light. I got a ring light now. I got it for Christmas, which is right above my screen. And I just noticed I had the game on and I had forgotten to turn the light on before I started the stream. And then I turned the light on and I'm like, oh man, I can't see the screen anymore. Because I got this light shining in my eyes, which is nice, of course. Good illumination for the stream, but it does make it harder to see the screen. All right. Yeah, of course I did it. I managed to get the craftsman back to work. Hope yet. Okay, good. Oh, all right. I gotta choose between shoulders and a new hat. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, that's not an upgrade, and that is. So I think I'm going with. Oh, these aren't. It's not a hat. Those are shoulders too, huh? Fine. Let's go with, it looks like a hat. That's okay. Let's see. Okay, here's the agility one. That's also a agility and vitality, huh? Yeah, let's go with this one. You have proven yourself an able motivator, and I wish to make use of that skill once again. A number of workers took a horse and wagon into the Everholt and have not returned. They plan to retrieve timber from the woods with which to reinforce some of the buildings of Aldburg, but now I am not so certain. Okay. You may be able to follow the sound of feasting and the singing of songs. Go out to the Everholt, if you will, and look for these workers in their wagon. Convince them to do the work they agreed to do, as you did with the workers outside the walls. With good fortune, we may restore Aldburg before Éomer returns from the war. Okay. Fine. Alright, I'm just realizing... Not hearing the game sounds at all, trying to figure that out here. Okay, now I hear him. Got it. Had one of my audio settings wrong. That's okay. Alright, there we are. Okay, I was just realizing I was not hearing Arcil's discordantly authoritative deep-chested masculine voice. Okay. All right, Matthias, I see you have a lore question there. I'm sure Phil will get it over to me while I head out here. But let me answer, JJ, the question you asked before. I did see that go by, which is how am I doing in my Lovecraft reading? Very well. I have... so I discovered... It took me a little... well, frankly, an embarrassing amount of time to figure out what was the principle on which the collection is organized. That is, I'm reading the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft in audio form, I'm like, this is a sort of like, I was trying to understand, like, these aren't chronologically organized, I'm pretty sure. And then I realized they're alphabetical. They organized them on the audiobook alphabetical by title. And I'm like, okay, of all ways to organize stories in a collection, alphabetical just strikes me as the least rational possible. Like, I can see putting them in the order of publication. I can see putting them in the order of composition. I can see, like, grouping them thematically, so that you get what... alphabetical order. B4, exactly. Of all the ways to do this, that was one of them. Exactly. So I'm like, okay. I mean, it's fine. What I'll do, it's my first reading anyway, so so I'm just gonna live with it. I'm gonna live with the chronological order, with the alphabetical order of the stories. And then when I go back and reread it, which I won't do instantly, but I'll do that soon. I will. I'll do a. Probably do chronological order, anyway. So I'm in the seas now. So I'm near the very end of the case of. What is it? Charles Ward, but wait, he's got a third name. I forget his third name in the middle. What's... I can't remember the middle name. Dexter, thank you. Charles Dexter Ward. Yes, the case of Charles Dexter Ward, which is my favorite so far. Really, really like the case of Charles Dexter Ward. Anyway, so yeah, I've been quite enjoying that. So yeah, I've got like 4 chapters left of that. So yeah, that's definitely, no question, my favorite so far. So being in the seas, I've gotten to the Call of Cthulhu, and I've read At the Mountains of Madness. Those are 2 of the like big ones that have come up so far. And I know that At the Mountains of Madness is one of his later stories, but I actually really, really liked getting that one pretty close to the beginning, actually. It was a really good kind of orientation in a lot of ways because of the way that he kind of lays out a lot of the mythology pretty systematically in the the accounts of the interpretations of the alien pictographs. So I was, and I'm not necessarily assuming, of course, that the connected, sort of history and mythology that he lays out there in At the Mountains of Madness is, carries over completely to all of the rest of his stories. But it really helped me to kind of get my mind around, like, what kind of world, do we have here? So anyway, that's, so it's been fun. It's been fun so far. I've been quite enjoying it. I'm thinking of I love his diction. I've always loved that. Even though I hadn't read very much, I've always loved Lovecraft's diction. And I'm thinking of instituting some kind of drinking game. It's probably not with alcohol. I feel inclined to take a shot or something every time he uses the word cyclopean. Basically, I need some kind of variant that involves sobriety, but I don't know. I always just kind of cheer when he uses the word cyclopean. It's fun. It's one of my favorite. That you can tell when like he's really getting on a roll. It's like only a matter of time before the word cyclopean comes up. And squalmus. Yeah. Oh man, like I'm telling you, I'm kind of glad I didn't read Lovecraft more in my formative years, or perhaps my diction and vocabulary would have been even stranger than it actually was. But anyway, yes, Sam says, as a Swede, Lovecraft really expanded my English vocabulary. Yeah, I bet it would. Just keep in mind, Sam, nobody talks like that anymore. Like, nobody. But it's fun. It's certainly fun, too. Anyway, hey there, Westham Scout. Do you have a vector quest for me? I passed the wizard Gandalf upon the road not long ago, and he mentioned that he wishes to speak with me. The king is in the Westfold at Helm's Deep. Oh man, he's already gotten there? I thought he was going to wait for me. Well, I ride to him. Gandalf is apparently searching high and low for Arkenbrand, Elfhelm, Grimbold, and all their company. Hey, awesome. I get to help find Arkenbrand? I am so in. So in. But give me some time, dude. I got important things to do. I got workers to motivate. I've got Orc Camps to scout. Just like, hold your water there, dude. Okay. Now, off to Orc Camps. How far away are they? I've not actually used the... Okay. It's fine. Let's stealth ourselves. Stay on foot, because there's no point... Oh. Is it like right there? Is that the Orc Camp? Yeah, I think there might be one. Boy, they go in for ugly fauna around here. Holy cow. The Loth Bears were ugly, but those wargs are really ugly. I mean, I know they're supposed to be, right? They're supposed to be a corruption. Though it's an interesting question. I mean, they're supposed to be, sort of under the corruptive influence of Sauron and such. Small group of weary white hand orcs. Am I supposed to feel bad for them? Oh, wait, I don't have the go slaughter them all now? Quest? Phil, that's exactly the question I was just going to ask, which is... What is doing the corruption? Why are they corrupt? Now, I have to... So, wargs are not, like, native to here, right? I mean, it's possible... it's possible that I, were to understand that... the wargs are simply native orcs? Oh, these are enervated. Okay. What, did they steal all the coffee? And that's why the other one is weary and these dudes are enervated? Oh, now we gotta go all the way around. Okay. Anyway, so it's possible, as I was saying, that because there's two possibilities for the wargs, right? One is that they're simply invaders, right? They've come with the orcs or whatever, and so they got like corrupted somewhere else, and then have come into this area. But of course, it's also possible that we're supposed to imagine that they are the native wolves of this region, who are no longer wholesome wolves, but have become these hideous wargs. And the reason to think that, I'm not saying it's proven, but the reason to think that is that the bears and the boars of this region also... I'm just going to go around. But, Aldburg is nice and defensible. I mean, look at this. You wouldn't want to be an army attacking up there, and then even if there's only a kind of, crappy palisade at the top of that hill. But anyway, yeah. So it looks like the local fauna that's been corrupted. Marielle says, is there any book evidence that Saruman uses wargs? Yes. There are goblin warg riders. The scene in the movie, when the warg riders attack Theoden and his people is a very significant expansion. Of course, that incident doesn't happen in the books, but it's expanding on a reference in the book, a reference to. Here we go. They are aggressive and many. Okay, this is the big one, huh? Are they white hand? No, these are death dudes. Yeah. Yeah, these are the guys. Okay. We got some death dudes here. They're here too, huh? A little far from home. But yeah, I mean, look at that guy. He's not a foreign invader. He's got his head in the dirt. Come on, what are you, ostriching here? All right, wait, let me go over here to the my Everhold quest. No, not here. I gotta go way down there. Okay. Anyway, so with the boars and the bears also kind of turned here, it seems to me implied that the local fauna has been corrupted in some way, and I do wonder why that should be. Oh, hey Rosie, I've got an explanation of that. Give me a second. Let me finish my train of thought here, which I so rarely do. Normally, when we see things being corrupted, I mean, the clearest example of this sort of phenomenon, that is not desolation, that we see in lots of places, especially the desolation of Smaug being the classic example, but of course the slag pits in front of Mordor as the biggest example of the kind of malign influence that the kind of malign influence that an evil figure exerts over the land about them. But the classic example of, oh, there's Feldjaw. There is the warband I want nothing to do with because it's in the woods and I don't want to do mounted combat in the woods. Anyway, the classic example of this kind of fauna corruption is Mirkwood, right? The black squirrels and such, right, of Mirkwood. The way that the local fauna of Mirkwood is apparently corrupted, not just, I think, affected in pigmentation by the presence of Sauron or the proximity of Sauron, but that it's part of his corruptive influence. Oh, there's a shadow that lies over the forest itself, which has been tormenting and twisting the creatures there. This is, I was going to say implied, but it's stated fairly plainly, I think, by the elves, at least sort of negatively, right? In the sense that after the necromancer we learn that the necromancer is removed in the, ooh, hi there, timber. Sometimes you got to go find the timber, and sometimes the timber comes to you. A wagon is abandoned. There are signs of struggle. Okay. Right? Oh. Uh-oh. This looks like it did not go well at all. So anyway, so when the elves are celebrating that it shall be green with the great again and that everything is going to be better, again, it's pretty clear that there is an evil influence which is greater than just everything is, the fur of everything is turning black and now there are more spiders, you know. So I'm not sure what kind. Now, so Marielle asks about, you know, does Isengard count as a desolation? Yeah, sure. I think it definitely does. And I would add in particular that the Lotro depiction has definitely... Oh no, the warband who is the scion of the great boar. I'm near to that one too. But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, anyway, so I was saying, Marielle, that I do think that in the game they depict Isengard as the early stages of exactly that kind of desolation. Does it count in the book? You know, I mean, we do have Saruman making a bit of a desolation around... Oh, I went a little far south, huh? Making a bit of a desolation around Isengard, but he's kind of doing it on purpose, you know, so does it count? Yes, I do. Because many of the... desolations don't just happen by accident, you know, or like... It's not just purely, like, automatically, you know, that it happens. Part of the deal there, you know, part of the issue there is, in fact... Oh, here we go. Wanton destruction. So yes,
we tracked the Orcs to the cave of Burg Chapel, but will we find the captive craftsman in time?
Oh. Okay, Horn. I didn't know you were joining me. Dead orcs? You cannot tell if these orcs were slain by their own kind? Okay. I'm confused by this quest. Alright, so these are death orcs. Oop. Off Horn goes. Can I hear what? Okay. I hear orcs approaching, not from ahead, but from behind. I should... You're gonna delay them? Okay. Pressing on into the cave and see what's become of the missing craftsman? Okay, let's try to figure out what's happening. Okay, Horn. More dead orcs, but no sign of the missing craftsman. Maybe there was a rebellion. Maybe they've fought back. I'm so confused. Okay, I'm searching the tunnels. Raised voices, but I can't make out any words. I mean, this is clearly an orc hold. Though the orcs in here use very few skulls as decoration. Like, there's a couple, right? And they didn't even light a pelvis fire. So how scary can they be? They've got some nice hams and not like crates of, you know, maggots or like intestines. So that seems a good sign too. What are we supposed to understand about orc politics in here? The death orcs, I have to assume, are like, I don't know if I'd say native exactly. That might not be quite right. But we know that there were orc holds in the mountains. And I know that, you know, that the king, who is it, Folka, was supposed to have taken them all out. But that some of them might have come back in the interim without the Rohirrim noticing seems very plausible, and certainly a very kind of Lotro-esque maneuver I suspect. But their connection to the death cult that we were in when we were exploring them and looking at them up near Dunharrow suggests that they're kind of native, right? You know, that they are orcs that have kind of taken up here and are definitely now living in connection to the local, like the, you know, they're drawn by, influenced by, and reverencing that spirit of death and evil fear that lurks around Dunharrow through the paths of the dead, you know, through the dead themselves. They're clearly worshipping them. Whereas the White Hand Orcs are obviously invaders just sent by Sauron to try to cause trouble in this region. Hey, look, everybody is... Nona is here first. Of course. Of course. Should have known. Hey there, Nona. I like Nona's brooch. Or, no, it's a necklace. The Numenorian necklace she's got? Where did she get that Numenorian necklace? Was she given that at some point? Did Horn give it to her? It's very prominent. I don't recall that from before. Okay, so here's everybody. We're all happy in here. I will tell you the story of how Corudan and I came to be here, but not just now. Let the tale wait until we are in the sunlight again. We have slain many orcs to free these people, but the woods crawled with more of their kind, and we should not tarry here. Is Horn here with you? Yes, I left him back, you know, fighting orcs by himself. Hi, Corudan. It is good to see you again. We thought to find you in Edoras, but on the way we found an overturned wagon in sign of struggle, and thought to look for these folk. Dude, this was not on the way to Edoras from where you were. I'm glad we did, for today we have saved some lives. These orcs were ferocious. It is fortunate that most of the creatures were away when Nona and I entered the cave. Oh, yes. Well, they've all come to attack Horn in the meantime. Someone approaches. Fortunately, I know Horn is in no danger. Oh. They all go straight for Nona. They know who's, like, the one they should really be concerned about here. Okay. Are we good? Oh, no. Here we go. Second wave. Nobody wants to fight Gryfflet? You guys are doing an excellent tanking job. Oh, okay. More. Oh, who's this spiky fellow? So that's a boar skull with big tusks and then lots of... He's confused. So these are not the death guys, but the boar guys? These are the boar worshippers. This is the cult of Everholt here, is it? So the skulls threw me off. Oh man, I've completed an orc slayer deed. Unreal. Okay. This was a pleasant surprise. Now let us return to town. Okay. Let's do that.
Tell Arcil what we have accomplished. Then we should return to Aedoras.
We are all back together again, and let the foes of Rohan beware. After we report to Arcil, whose name would certainly not have a soft C in it, we should return to Aedoras. We have done as we promised for both Éomer and Éomer, but there is sure to be more we can do for the people of the Mark. But first, let us tell Arcil what happened to the workers that went missing in the Everholt. Yeah, they weren't feasting and partying, at least. What do you have to say, Nona?
It is good to see you again. It was a happy meeting.
It was a happy meeting. I can think of no better way to meet up with friends than to see them again in the thick of battle. Corudan and I made the journey to Forlaw with my recovered friends from Wildemore. Some families in Forlaw have opened their doors to them until my friends can find places of their own. We then rode to the river, and it was here that pride gave way to good sense. Rather than upset the guard at the crossing, Corudan suggested we find another place to cross the river. It was not difficult. We planned to travel to the King's Sea. I see. So that's how you came way, way out of your way. Got it. This is explaining your massively circuitous route to Aedoras. We planned to travel to the King's Seat and there to seek you and Horn, but before we left the forest, we heard the cries of orcs and diverted our course to follow them. Okay, Nona. That all makes perfect sense. What do you have to say, Corudan, designated chaperone?
It is good to see you again.
Good to see you, Corudan. We would have rescued those people without incident, Gryfflet, but I am glad you appeared when you did in any event. Nona and I crossed the Entwash at the narrows south of the guarded crossing. I thought it the wisest course, and did not want to put Hunbald in an unfortunate position regarding his orders. Nona would have put him in an unfortunate position as well, under the ground. I thought it might be best to avoid the Entwade altogether. That is what brought us to the Everholt, where I heard the orc attack in the woods. Okay. We followed them into the cave, and that is where you enter the tale. Good to see you again. Oh, likewise, Corudan. Okay. Where am I? Oh, I gotta go to talk to Arcil. Okay, alright. I got some things, business with the, well, Thane? Steward? See, now that, I don't know. Looks more like a family outing, because they both have baskets. So why definitely no soft C in Arcil? Because there's no soft C in Anglo-Saxon, primarily. So yeah, I wouldn't do a soft C. All right. Wilmund and Torwolf just left the hall, and they spoke at length of your actions on their behalf. Okay, hey, you're welcome. Oh, let's see. We got the Ring of the Savior. Nah, we got the Ring of the Liberator. That's more attractive. Yeah, let's do that one.
Return now to Aedoras. Go with my good wishes.
Well, I'm not quite done yet, Arcil. We got other things to talk about, but I cannot thank you enough for all that you have done. You have aided Aldburg and its people in ways I was unable to do myself, but I should not be surprised by your ability. After all, Éomer did send you to assist me. Sort of. Éomer possesses wisdom far beyond his years, and he uses it not just on the field of battle, but in times of peace as well. There have been fewer of those in recent memory, alas. I return now to Aedoras, not quite yet, but soon. Go with my good wishes. Excellent, okay. But not with my new boots, sadly. But that's okay. Let me tell you about the enemy camps. It appears that the White Hand number are far fewer than the unknown Orcs, as I thought they might. Let us first focus upon ridding the Eastfold of one threat, then we will deal with the other. Oh, good, we're going to do the let's fight them all plan, after all? Glad I talked you around. The White Hand are dangerous, but they do not have the numbers that the unknown Orcs do. While I do not believe that my original decision was misguided, I may have been too quick to dismiss Eothine's thoughts on this matter. What is important now is that we deal with these orcs swiftly with great force. Deliver my apology to Éothine and let him know of my decision. Great. No, it's actually me you need to apologize to, because I was suggesting the let's fight all the orcs instead of picking and choosing. Okay. Yes, no, you're right, Pineleaf, that there can be like a ch sound in Anglo-Saxon, absolutely. I'm just saying it's not going to be Arcil. Like that, that's not a thing. So yeah. That's all I mean. Okay. So just talk to Eothine. And then talk to Horn, by the barrows. Right, no problem. Vector back to Edoras, huh? Interesting. I may get there. Eothine, hang on a second. I want to study something momentarily. Where else did I have a vector to? Right, the road to Dunharrow. I think that's what I'm doing. Huh. No, I have to do the next 2 chapters of the epic before I can prepare Éowyn and her people to journey to Dunharrow. That's really interesting. Okay. And the next stage of the epic is 91. Weird. So this level 91 quest and the one that comes after it are both prerequisites to completing this level 88 quest, huh? All right. Right, and then this one here with Eothine is an 88. And like this Broadacres quest is a 91. So it seems I should go back to Edoras before I go on to Broadacres. Just trying to get my sequencing correct here. You know, you guys understand Gryfflet's desire to do the whole story in order if I can. So just kind of trying to map it out there. Let's take you off for now, and let's also take off my vector quest to the Westfold, which is a level 93. See, so okay, that sequence is pretty clear. Okay, fine. Really need to clean this up. All right. Okay. Right, Phil says I can pick it up at level 88. Doesn't mean I can complete it anytime soon. Yeah. All right, Eothine. Arcil sent you with an apology. Perhaps he is not as inept as I once believed. I must ponder this later, though it seems we are ready to deal with the true threat. Let Arcil know that his apology is accepted, but was not necessary. He has my sword when it's needed. Okay, Eothine the Grumpy. Now, can I just say, by the way, that Eothine being as grumpy as he is here is totally, like, that's good adaptation, man. Like, Eothine is in the book. He even gets a line in the book, right? And what he is grumpy. Grumpy and impatient. So I think they're capturing him here. Okay. All right, Arcil. So are we going to do an instance? Are we going to do a white hand orc fighting instance, or do you just want me to rout him out?
There are so many things.
It appears that Eothine and I have come to terms. He is a great warrior and has served us well. We will need his sword when the time comes, and that time is now. All right, Gryfflet, you have proven a great warrior, and I am giving you the responsibility of leading the attack on the white hand orcs. No problem. Does that mean you're coming with?
There is no shortage of things.
No. Since their numbers are few, I want you to sneak. There we go. Now I'm talking. Sneak into the White Hand camp and defeat their leader. This should cause them to lose direction and fall into disarray. Go to the White Hand camp to the northwest and carry out your task, but be vigilant. It is possible they have received reinforcements, though I think it unlikely. Yeah, it's very unlikely. Okay, White Hand leader. Can do. No problem. All right. All right. Oh, man. bunch of new lore questions have come in. Let me take the opportunity to answer more lore questions. More, I say. I guess I did technically answer one, didn't I? Okay. Let's see. Matthias, I'll try to get yours. Lore question which might have been better suited for exploring the Lord of the Rings, but I always miss those sessions. Totally understand, Matthias. I mean, exploring Lord of the Rings starts at what? Like 4 o'clock in the morning for you? So, yeah, totally get that. While Gandalf is in the Prancing Pony, he exclaims that the hobbits had taken up with Aragorn is the best news he heard since Midsummer. What did he learn at Midsummer that was better? That the Nine had crossed the river? That Saruman wanted him to come to Isengard? That Radagast would tell his bird friends to bring news to Orthanc? Right. So, Matthias, that's a great question. I don't think that he's literally saying, like, that he has a piece of good news in mind. The way that I interpret Gandalf's words there is simply like, I've been having a really crappy time since Midsummer. This is the first time I've had any good news of any kind. Since Midsummer, everything's been horrible, right? Since Midsummer, I heard that's when he met Radagast, right? And since then, he went down to Isengard, and it's been one thing after another, and Gandalf has been having a miserable time, right? So what he's saying is, I believe, this is literally the first time I've had any good news. I've had anything. I've heard anything positive. This is the first time I've smiled, right? Since Midsummer. The first time he's felt happy since Midsummer, even. I mean, he's had nothing but bad news. I thought I might get some landscape quests on the way in. The White Hand Orcs are not pleased to see an invader in their camp. Pah, you're assuming they'll see one. You should defeat as many of them as possible while searching for their leader. Well, okay, I thought it might come to that. Anyway, so yeah, that's my understanding of that. Again, not that there is another piece of good news or of even better news, that he is remembering, but just that nothing has been good since then. Okay, where's the leader? Is the green guy the leader? No, he's just flabby, but green. I only have to defeat 4 of them, though. I think these were the people who did not have the coffee. So let me go up to the caffeinated camp and see if I can make progress up there. So, Matthias, that is it is interesting the way that he phrases that, but that's my understanding, that he's saying this is essentially the first time I have felt happy. I have had a positive reaction to anything that has happened since Midsummer. Yep. Okay. Okay. So while I'm fighting here, Catriona was asking, is there a reason or precedent given for why the elves in Lothlorien build and live in flats? All other elves in all times do surface or cave dwellings, don't they? So why flats? Well, don't forget that they're called the Galathrim for a reason. And that reason is that they live in flats. That is to say, I think it's meant to be a little strange, a little unusual. Here he is. Yeah, we're supposed to, not find it strange necessarily, but you're right. It's funny how, in many ways, the Galathrim have, well, I say funny, it's understandable, but why the Galathrim have kind of become the really dominant sort of imagination of, the norm, essentially, for elves in the imagination of a lot of Tolkien readers. And again, it's not so very strange that they should do so, given the sort of the salience and the importance of that encounter in the book. But it's clear that they're not just, normal either. They are certainly not, exactly how all the rest of elves behave. And again, they're called the Galathrim. Galath means tree, right? So they are very much associated with trees in their name, and so yeah, I think it's meant to be not countercultural, not weird in the sense that other orcs are gonna, or other elves are gonna poke fun of them and such, but that they are that they're unusual. So yeah, it's meant to be strange, in one sense here. That was a good fight, sir. But I took you down. I'm going to stand over here until I heal. Maybe have some food, which arguably, I should have done before I fought the leader. Matthias says Lothlorien is also kind of the only place where there are trees large enough to support large flights as well. Yeah, I mean, the trees in Mirkwood are large, but it is a little harder to imagine the trees of Mirkwood supporting like a city, the way that the Malorns of Lothlorien do. But here's an interesting little sort of nugget about Lothlorien, which is sort of interesting and revealing, I think, in many ways about Galadriel herself. And that is that she did the Malorns, right? The Malorns are her work. She sang of leaves of gold, and leaves of gold there grew. So the Galathrim are like defined by Galadriel, right? I mean, she didn't make them, but there's a sense in which she sort of shaped them. I wonder what the Galathrim were like before Galadriel, before Lothlorien. It just suggests, right, that they are identified as the tree elves, but the trees with which they are identified are the trees that she made. Suggests this kind of like deep cause and effect there, right? And of course, the fact that her name, Galadriel, or Galadriel, as it was originally going to be done, but he took out the H because he thought it would trip up modern English readers, is yeah, again, that similarity also kind of suggests the closeness there. So, anyway, just an interesting little nugget that I sometimes reflect on. Hang on, I forgot to equip my new ring. There we go. Yeah. That's nice. Okay. Back to talk to Arcil. All right, let me do another lore question. Oh, I got time. Boy, it's still early. You're doing great, Gryfflet. I thought it was getting later than it was. Okay. Marielle says, if Saruman disdains white as a beginning, why does he keep the symbol? Or, use or keep the symbol of the white hand? What a wonderful question, Marielle. Never asked that in my life either. You guys always ask so many questions that I'd never thought of. White, he says disdainfully. And as you point out, Marielle, he says it serves as a beginning, right? I think my suspicion is that that's why he uses it. Well, I'd say there are two reasons. One is that I do think that it fits with that. It does fit with that statement. He wants, I believe, to sort of suggest that his kingdom, or the kingdom that he's establishing right now, the realm that he is attempting to establish through his, newly asserted power, is but a beginning, right? Remember in his speech to Gandalf that he wants to build a new future, not just for the race of men, but for the fourth age to come. The younger days are coming, right? And they should shape it. Now, he's trying to, sort of deceive Gandalf, but I think he means it. I think what we are to understand, that what he says there to Gandalf is actually what he believes. And this, by the way, for folks who are more familiar with the films, this is something to keep in mind. It was a very interesting choice. I kind of liked it. I thought it worked very well. The way in which in the films they tried to take the attack on Helm's Deep and make it into a plan by Saruman to exterminate the race of men, like it was a genocidal attempt, right? Not just an act of war, but an act of attempted genocide, or like the first step in attempted genocide, that he was going to bring to an end the kingdoms of men, right? When in fact, Book Saruman believes something almost exactly the opposite of that. He believes that men are going to take over. He foresees that the age of men is coming. And he doesn't want to stop it. He doesn't want to exterminate them. He wants to rule it, right? He wants to assert his leadership over it. And so, it serves as a beginning, Marielle, in that sense as well. So I do think that there are ways in which he is kind of imagining the new beginning for the world, the new beginning of the Fourth Age, the new beginning of the Age of Men, and that his use of white in the his white hand badges are a kind of could even, as I say, fit with that idea, and that him actually kind of turning that. He doesn't want to be identified himself as the white, right? The white, to be Saruman the White, that is itself but a beginning, right? But that he would not shy away from white stands to reason, I think, in some ways. More on that in a second. Okay. I've reduced our troubles by half. However, there is much that we do not know about these other orcs. We do not know where they come from or what they have come here for, but we do know they are very dangerous. Okay. All right, I agree. Let's see. I'm going to get my reinforced gloves, and I'm going to equip them.
There is no shortage.
You have left a lasting mark upon Aldburg and its people. We should be able to... What? You're not going to send me to the other orcs? You're turfing me to Fenmarch? The worst seems to be behind us now? That doesn't even make any sense based on what you just said. You were just saying that the worst is yet to come. I do not have the same confidence about our neighbors in Fenmarch, however. I feel your assistance would be better served assisting Thane Arcil. Okay. Follow the road out of Aldburg and head eastward to the marshlands. Be vigilant and patrol the roads. Yeah, I have the feeling we haven't seen the last of them either. That's why I was going to go to their camp and mess them up. But apparently not. Okay. Maybe he had an excess of white paint in his all-black tower. Pillow combat. Yeah, no, I hear that. I hear that. Here's my other suggestion, Marielle. My other suggestion is that he knows who his rival is, right? Especially as he is... You have to think, right? You have to think that his ultimate hope and plan is not to crush Sauron, but to take over from him, right? His goal is to bring the rest of the orcs who are still loyal to Sauron under his control. His white hand badges are set up in contrast to the red eye badges, right? Sauron already uses a lot of black. He just got the black and red thing, so Saruman is going to go black and white. But I think also that his white badges, right, his white hand badge, my suspicion is that he's trying preemptively to kind of position himself, in a kind of middle posture. On the one hand, he wants to rule the orcs, right? He wants to dominate the orcs, to have bring the orcs under his sole control, but at the same time, he wants to rule the men and shape their kingdoms as well. So I do suspect that his use of white is kind of him trying to have it both ways. All right, I should patrol the road to Fenmarch. Okay. Can do. It is very ambitious, Low Redhead, taking over the orcs' loyalty from Sauron. Yeah, he's got big plans. I mean, they're bigger than his britches at this point, right? I mean, he can't actually do it. But, you know, it's good to have goals. It's good to have goals. Even if you don't achieve your ambitious goals, it's better to have ambitious goals. Okay, no signs of trouble yet. Oh, sign of ruin, though. Hang on. Looked for a moment. What I could see through the trees looked very Gondorian. Yeah, no, you're right, Mariel. Nobody ever did accuse Saruman of modesty. Okay. Oh, look, and there are even people here. I'm almost to where... Okay, hang on. I'm just supposed to patrol to the next rise here. Let me go there, and then I'll come straight back. Screams in the distance. Okay, all right, hang on. That can wait. There's a ruin to be explored. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Gondorian. Looks like a tower? Was a tower? No. Hang on. Didn't even notice this... Oh, it's a Sweart Hound. Yeah, so you see, it's not even a warg. It's a Sweart Hound, which means it's like an ancient evil, right? So something not corrupted, but unleashed upon the land from some source. Boy, just the bears coming wandering in here. All right, we've got a random... supplier and a... Yeah, so this looked like probably a Gondorian watchtower, I want to say. Inland from the river quite a bit, but, you know, if the topography works, which not so much, I guess over that little rise, then why didn't they build it over there? Why do you build a watchtower on lower ground? How strange. But yeah, I think that's essentially what this was, a fairly grandiose Gondorian watchtower. I suspect so. None of you guys wants to talk to me? Soldiers, are you headed out? Okay. All right, well, I guess they're screams, so I should probably go attend to the screams. Okay. Good. Let me attend to the screams, and then I'll find another lore question if I'm, once again, just in mindless combat mode. Okay. Screams from the east. Gryfflet coming swiftly and efficiently and directly to the rescue. Talk to the panicked Rohirrim woman. Oh, there she is. And don't trample her! Whew, that was close.
What business have you with the Rohirrim?
Please, you must help. The orcs appeared out of nowhere and began putting the lumberyard to the torch. Guthlaf and the others are still there.
Our
I managed-
success depends upon our strength.
I managed to escape before the camp was overrun, but the workers are still there and need your help. You may be able to sneak in undetected through the back entrance. Once inside the lumberyard, seek out Guthlaf. Will I help? Of course I will help. Where? This way? Down? Is this way to the... What, you're a lumber worker? Okay. Okay, alright. I got a landscape quest here. Gotta kill more orcs. Boy, I'm gonna get the advanced orc slayer deed at this rate. Oh, there's Snowborn. Right, we're just across the river. I found the back entrance. I'm in imping. I love imping. Fire threatens to consume this building if it is not extinguished soon. Oh dear. I've got to put out the building. Okay. And I've got to free the workers. During their attack on the lumberyard, the orcs captured many workers. Okay. All right, by all means, let's dismount. Thank you, carry on. All right, vessel for water. Let's should maybe go look down by the water. Any vessels down here that might contain... Oop, hang on. No. No. I'll keep looking. House on fire. Let's get stealthy here. I'll go down. Is there trouble down mill? Oh. There is a little trouble down the mill. Oh, and there's a bucket. Oh, that'll help. Excuse me, I need this bucket, so if you don't mind, I'm going to have to ask you to perish now. There we are. Okay. Got the bucket. I found it suitable for carrying water. Did I actually... Okay, I think I actually did put water in it. I wanted to make sure that wasn't a separate step. Okay. With my magic bucket of water. Okay. Phew. Okay. Public service message. Putting out a burning house is not quite as easy as that in real life. Okay. It will require more than one bucket of water to extinguish a house. But I understand it's like it is to be understood that I've gone back and forth many times. I know, right, Nate? I mean, that was like... Is Gryfflet an excellent firefighter or what? Okay. Maybe it's just in the context of that burning building, but that mill looks really flammable. It's really peaceful around here. Now that the burning building is out, there was only the one orc. You know, everybody seems happy and fine. I mean, I say everyone seems happy. Nobody seems around. Ah, they're boar orcs. They're boar orcs. And there's one of the dudes I've got to rescue. Can't jump in the window. Okay, is this a defiler? No, it's an archer. Okay. Fine. Okay. Hey there, guy. I'm just gonna... oh. You spotted me? I'm so embarrassed. You didn't notice me killing the other guy over there, but you noticed me walking over? Well, it happens. Even to the most burglarious. Run, dude! You're so not finished. Okay. Still, this must have been very recent, because the orcs have barely wrecked anything. I mean, yeah, they set fire to a house, but... Okay. All right. See, Madman Modeler, if I could pick anything cool out of their pockets, I would. But, like, I can't help but feel like I've got enough inventory problems, you know? Without picking pockets. All right, let me get another lore question. So, Phil, I'll address yours, which has been sitting around for a while now. I think you put this while watching the loading screen a little while back about the depiction of dwarves. You were asking, am I the only one who thinks that almost all depictions of dwarves look entirely too human? We all know about the confusion between male and female dwarves, but I don't recall anybody ever thinking a dwarf might be an elf or a human. Right. Yeah, I hear that. I actually do suspect that. I do suspect that dwarves... Remember that when Tolkien makes the sort of final backstory of the dwarves, he says that the reason, you know, they're a little bit on the funny looking side, you know, they you know, they're not like, you know, the reason they are so short of stature and such, and, you know, slightly odd of proportion, is that they, Aule had only, you know, kind of a general vague idea of the, of what the children of Iluvatar were supposed to look like when he made them. And I think that's fun, of course. But it does suggest to me, Phil, that the differences should perhaps be more profound than they are. That it's not just that they're shorter and stockier, but that perhaps the differences should be more profound. I don't mean that they should have, like, you know, a different number of noses, you know, or something like that. Like, I'm sure Aule had a clear enough idea of what the children of Iluvatar should look like that he got the body plan right, you know. Guthlof was overwhelmed. Oh, man. But anyway, so what would that look like, Phil? If we think that it's possible that dwarves in their usual visual depiction are depicted a little bit too much like humans, what would that be? Like, what differences should be perceptible? I could imagine significantly like more pronounced, like just more strangely proportioned features, right? Like a really big nose or something like that. I mean, I don't know. Like it is. But I'm with you, Phil. I think it would be interesting. And of course, it brings us back again to something that so many people overlook. And it's funny how easy it is to overlook this. How little physical description Tolkien gives us of people. right? We know exactly what the landscape and fauna of Ithilien, or flora, I mean, of Ithilien looked like, but we know very little about, what, Sam looks like, or, almost anyone. So, given the primary absence, given the primary absence of this kind, the large absence of this kind of description, it leaves people free to imagine, and it's not surprising, Phil, that most people do. I mean, there are a few facts that we know about dwarves, one of which is that they're short, right? Short and broad and strong. So there we are. They tend to be depicted as mostly like people, just shorter, broader, and sort of stockier, and therefore tending to be with more bulbous noses and slightly larger features. But Likelyabot says, I've thought about this lack of description of people. I have a type of face blindness where I can't picture a person's face in my mind. I wonder if Tolkien might have had that too. I wonder, Likelyabot, I kind of think that Tolkien was just, he was less interested in character than he was interested in place. I also think that he was interested in taking advantage. Okay, wait, hang on. Let me say two things here. Let me talk to Guthlof and then say two things here. I am indeed Guthlof, the former flag bearer for the king. Guthlof, I knew I recognized the name. Once in future flag bearer of the king. Oh man, you have a destiny in front of you. Brief, but yeah. If you are still hale, you must be a strong burglar. We do not have time to discuss a plan of attack. Head south to the orchard and stop him at once. Okay, what are you doing? Guthlof. Oh, that is exciting. I did not... It's just the context of the lumberyard. I was not connecting this Guthlof with, that Guthlof. Okay, south, huh? Gotta go back through town, head south. Okay, so one is that... oh, shoot, what were the two things? I remember one of them for sure. Well, let me start with the one I remember. The one of the two things that I definitely recall is that sorry, I almost remembered the second one, but then I didn't. He said it was in the orchard. Am I getting warm? It's over here. Oh, there's the orchard. Oh. We're setting fire to the orchard. I need a bucket of water. These guys are so happy. Anyway, sorry. Okay. The thing that I remember that I was going to say is that Tolkien spoke of the advantages that stories have compared to drama. When he was talking about drama, this is in On Fairy Stories, talking about drama and the restrictions of drama and the challenges of drama. Not that drama is a bad thing or an inferior art or anything like that. But he talks about the way in which your hands are tied in drama, or rather, the way in which you have no choice but to essentially dictate to the reader
in ways that you don't have to in story. So specifically, the example that he gave was, he said, you can just say, like in a story, you can just say there was bread on the table, right? You just say there was bread. But if you're going to if you're going to put that in a play, or I would say in a movie, right? To use the way the most modern people would think about this thing, if you're going to depict that scene in the film, you have to choose what kind of bread. What kind of bread is it? It's going to make a difference, right? I mean, if you have like a round loaf of brown bread, or if you have like a French baguette, or if you have a sheet of matzah, right? I mean, any of those things could be described as bread, but it's going to very much alter the scene, the mood, the culture. It's going to tell you things. It's going to suggest things. It's going to imply things. It's going to make connections with other things that you've got to think about, right? You've got to stay in control of that. You don't have to make that choice. What he was talking about here is the freedom of the reader, the freedom that's left to the reader to imagine. In reading stories, which is not left to them. Again, that's not to say that drama or film is a lesser art. It's just a different form of art, and it has a different relationship with the imagination of the viewer. And this is one of the reasons why there's so many people modern people who seem to believe that film is, like a, you can tell it in a story, but if you really want to make it real, depict it in a film, right? Like a film is going to make things real for people in ways that a book can't do. It's going to do it in different ways, it is true. But by depicting everything visually for you, does it help you to imagine yourself into it? No, it restricts how you can imagine yourself into it. And this is something people don't talk about. People don't think about this, the ways in which, some people do sometimes, right? There were a lot of people. I remember one of the chief things that Tolkien fans were, I remember having conversations back before the Peter Jackson films came out. And one of the concerns that people had was, I don't want this to freeze my imagination. I don't just want a picture. Like they knew, they had heard announcements and stuff. So they were like, I don't want this Viggo Mortensen guy to become Strider in my mind. Like I've always had a picture of Strider in my head. And I want to keep it, my picture of Strider, right? And not just to be defaulting to the visual images that were provided for us by Peter Jackson. It's what happens. You've got not quite infinite, but very, very large possibilities. And then the film a film as as its work of art, it tells you what you have to picture because it does it for you, right? This was one of the limitations, one of the ways in which there is a narrowing effect to visual adaptation that Tolkien thought was actually largely incompatible with fantasy and fairy stories in general. And I see his point. So I believe that one of the reasons that Tolkien doesn't give more description of people is that he wanted to leave that open. He didn't really want. He didn't really want to. He didn't really want to narrow it to that extent. You could say he kind of he wanted you to picture the world, right? So Middle-earth itself gets rich description during The Lord of the Rings, but so much of the rest of the action does not. And this, I think, was the second thing that I was going to say about this, is just that I think that another reason why Tolkien doesn't describe people more is that his imagination was not an imagination that had been formed under the influence of films. I think that this is, you can see this all over the place. When you read modern fiction, it's rare is the work of modern fiction that is not thinking cinematographically. The cinematographic imagination is something which is almost, it seems to me anyway, almost taken for granted by modern writers. I'm not saying, I don't mean this like as a kind of a dig, like every modern author is like already trying to picture the screenplay that they'll be paid millions for. I don't mean that, though I think that's often true. But I'm not trying to insult anybody by saying this. I'm just saying, like, movies are the kind of default art form of the modern world. They are. They are the normative art form of the normative storytelling art form of the modern world. And so therefore, a lot of the conventions that we have come to assume as normal, just totally take for granted when we read stories, are ultimately derived from film. The way action is described, so that, like, if you were going to put it on screen, you would know just what they would like to, like the kind of assumption, like the way that authors assume that it's like their responsibility to help us to picture things, right? Like to make sure that we can really picture exactly. So they'll describe not only faces, but facial expressions. They'll tell us, like, they'll kind of spell things out word for word, like they'll do the blocking, right, of particular, like, moving action scenes and stuff. That's not normal. We don't get that in a lot of older stories. And again, I believe it to be derivative of film, ultimately. Tolkien was not, and was resistant to film for various reasons, for various perfectly good reasons. And so one of the things that I think that leads to this, one of the things that people are perceiving when they perceive these differences, one of the things that when modern readers object to the style of the Lord of the Rings, it's one of the things that they mean. One of the things that they're seeing is this doesn't work the normal way. This doesn't work the way that other modern writers operate. Sorry, that was a longer lecture than I expected. Apologies. It was a rather fortuitous timing that you arrived when you did. I am not certain that we would have been able to save the lumberyard without your assistance. I am Guthlaf, son of Sparhavak, Thane of Fenmarch. I was once the banner-bearer for Theoden King. Since my recent dismissal, I have been lending aid here at the lumberyard. Now we must put our hands to the task of restoring the lumberyard. Allow me to worry about the lumberyard. I ask that you travel to Fenmarch and inform my father of what has happened here. First Eothine and now Guthlaf. If these orcs were also seen near Aldburg, I fear we have a much larger problem than we originally thought. Take the road east to Fenmarch and seek out my father, Thane Sparhavak. Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay, Guthlaf, the banner bearer. Just you wait, Guthlaf. You are going to get to ride in triumph onto the Pelennor field. It will be brief, but spectacular. Okay. Oh, look at all these things. I must have gotten the... Yes, oh, that's right, of course. I am now ally of the Eorlingas. All right, that didn't take too long. Uh-oh. Look at all this rep. Holy cow. I've got legendary items. Okay. I gotta reforge. All right, hang on. So I'm going to head into Fenmarch itself. Yeah, Mariel, I believe he is in the song. Sorry, I'm going through the song in my head. I think he is. I know he's mentioned during Theoden's ride. Yeah. Okay, hooray, it's Fenmarch. Stable Master.
Desperate times for the Rohirrim.
All right. Let's see. Hang on. Let's The epic quest doesn't go here, does it? I have a feeling like I spent some time here with Wiggend doing quests, but I can't figure out why I did that. It must have been like right before I started just like dedicating Wiggend entirely to the epic. Okay. The hay up in lofts. Right. Well, the ground pretty marshy, right? Gonna get rot from beneath pretty quickly. Makes sense. Stable on the high ground. The horses are not gonna like the wetlands at all. Average house. I like the kind of lattice work of these beams. It's a lot of beam, you know. There's just a lot of beam involved there, especially if those are squared beams. If those are like 4x4 or 6x6 beams or something, it's a lot of lumber right there making that. But it's lovely. It's lovely. It's like, you know, making your house look like a blueberry pie. Why are you digging a hole in the middle of your yard? Never mind. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Okay, here's the ladies of Fenmarch going about with baskets. Just got some bread in there. Let's hope she's not returning from a disciplinary walk. You know, returning home alone like that other scary woman in Aldburg, who's probably like Éomer's auntie or something, right? Love the carved beams. One of my favorite parts of Rohirrim architecture. Okay, so they're building chiefly with stone here. They need, well, I was going to say they need to mow here as well, but, you know, it's the fens. It's a little bit hard. Can't expect manicured lawns exactly. Does the roof actually contact the ground? No, it does not. Okay. Nice. Nice. What does the mead hall around here look like? Okay, so what is that lady who it looks like I've already talked to? Let's see. Okay, you're the provisioner. Sure. I really like the sleeves of this lady's gown. Okay. What do we have over here? Another stable. Again on slightly higher ground. The horses thank you. You gotta keep their hooves, man. You know, you don't want... Oh, hark! But lo, I spy a mead hall. Stone mead hall. Mostly stone. That's been unusual, but again, understandable. The hounds. The hound is the... Whoa, being attacked by a frog. Hound is the symbol of Fenmarch, huh? That's interesting. Oh, this looks great. Let's go talk to Spar Havoc. Okay. Huh. huge hearth in the middle. Separate tables, but still with the more communal feeling. It's because of the hearth, right? So much more friendly than the mead hall of Ellen Fremeden. Look at this. Okay. The Thane looks like he's being punished and forced to sit in the corner. There's like there being no table in front of him. Also, like, do you ever get to eat, dude? Do they sometimes bring you food eventually? That's interesting. I like it though. For some reason, the antlered seats look better without the table. Behind the table, they just look a little bit funny, but here, like, that looks cooler. You kind of look like the huntsman here, especially with your hounds. I'm kind of digging it.
Stand by. The minions of Orc spread their influence.
Yeah, I assisted your son. No problem. It appears that we have a problem which needs solving. There are other pressing matters here in Fenmarch. I'd be happy to assist you.
This road leads to death. It should return to Eros.
Dude, your voiceover tag is not in keeping. This is a family matter that I do not wish to involve others in, but I cannot bring myself to tell Meriguth, what I have long known. Oh, she must be the lady by the swamp. Now that Éomer is heir to the throne of Rohan, he is to marry a lady of much higher station, not the daughter of a marsh lord. Oops. Oh man, Éomer has to ditch. She was the former ex-fiancée of Éomer? If you could talk with her, it would remove a burden from my heart. Pick an arrangement of arrowhead, a flower which grows around Fenmarch, and deliver it to her along with my message. With okay, right, an arrangement of arrowhead. Right, okay. Oof. Oof. Yeah, and I don't know, Phil. I'm trying to figure that out. Like, does she just had a crush on Éomer? And it's my job to crush her dreams? Or was there? Yeah, Edith, I don't know if this is Éomer's fault. But, yikes. All right. So, orcs are invading, but I've got to collect flowers to break the news to his daughter that Éomer's probably going to end up marrying somebody else. Besides, like, has Éomer sworn a vow of celibacy or something? I mean, why on earth is he not already married? Meriguth, you've been, you know, leaving it a little late here. I'd have been more proactive if I'd been you, Meriguth. Where am I? No, wrong way. There we go. Okay. Doesn't look much like an arrowhead, but no problem. Okay. There's the arrowhead. Yeah, exactly. No, the JJ doesn't make a lick of sense. And this is something I remember the first time I ever met Chris Pearson, the Lotro head lore master, was when he was giving a talk at what's it called? MythCon. And this is one of the things that he was talking about. He was talking, it was soon after Rohan was released, or right when Rohan, they were prepping Rohan, and he was remarking on this, that like it seemed completely senseless, and he couldn't understand why Tolkien had, Theoden's heir, both of Theoden's heirs, living this life of unaccountable celibacy. And Boromir and Faramir, exactly as you say. I mean, it is not normal. That is just weird. It's just weird. I find it indefensible. Almost a flaw, to be honest with you. Like, I think that it's... my suspicion is that if I had to guess, I mean, like, it seems to me like a... it seems to me like, I don't want to say an error exactly, but a sort of mistake that Tolkien might have gotten backed into. Like, it seems to me an error that needs explanation. Like, it's not sufficiently sensible to just, I don't think you can just say, oh, well, dudes marry late in Middle-earth. No. That makes no sense. That would be, if that were true, then that's a world-building flaw, because why on earth should they do so? When you're the heir of a human king, a non-Númenorian human king, you've got a job, and that is to get another heir so the line continues. And for Theodred to continue until 40, 45 without even marrying? Unheard of. Ludicrous. And Éomer too. So my theory, because as I said, where the heck is the last flower? As I say, it feels to me like it needs an explanation. And my explanation for it, is that as to like how Tolkien got himself into that fix, because I don't think it was deliberate. I can't think of anything within the context of Tolkien's like world building in Rohan that would seem to justify or explain it in any way. Anyway, I think that the only explanation I can think of is that Tolkien, got boxed in by the calendar, basically. Basically, that he had already decided, like in his mind, Éomer and Theodred were already single, right? They were already single. He might have wanted to make them younger. But you know whose fault I think it is? I think it's Éowyn's fault. I blame Éowyn. No, seriously, I blame Éowyn because Éowyn has to be. Éowyn is the limiting factor, right? She can't be creepy young. It's like you can't have like a 14-year-old Éowyn or something like that, right? And I think he wanted her to be sort of officially like younger, like significantly younger than Éomer. So in order to make the everything work out, and Theoden, of course, is old, because Theodwyn, the mother, his sister, who is their mother, was his youngest sister. So I think like when he was, I doubt he decided on ages at all. So like when he wrote it's the ages of them only come from Appendix B, right? From the Tale of Years. That's the only place where we can kind of do the math and figure out how old Éomer and Theodred were. I do, the story within the narrative is not the story of, like a couple 40-year-old guys, right? It's just not, that has nothing to do with the story. In fact, we get evidence to the contrary, right? Think about the line in the Battle of Pelennor Field about Éomer, right? He was young and he was king. He ends up being older than he sounds like there. Like, he was young and he was king makes him sound like he's in his early 20s, which I think is how Tolkien probably pictured him when he wrote the story originally. But then, when he went to reconcile all the chronologies, worked out the family trees, tried to reconcile the chronologies, in order to make Éowyn old enough to be like of solid marriageable age that he was comfortable with, he had to bump Éomer up, and he had to bump Theoden and Theodred, therefore. So Theodred, even if he is the son of Theoden's age, still ends up having to be. So I think he gets himself kind of boxed in by the calendar, essentially, when he starts laying things out. Yeah, he's only 27. I know he's not old. It's not like the Theodred problem. But yeah, even there, I think that Éomer is a little bit older. But again, I think that Theodred does get boxed in still by this whole situation, right? So that we end up with what honestly seems just weird, which is, how old is Theodred? 40? 45? Something? And unmarried? Inexplicable. Inexplicable, indefensible, just not okay. Boromir and Faramir, fine. They're of Númenorian stock, right? And so the culture is going to be different in Gondor. Different cultures, marriageable ages, and different cultures are different in different places. It's fine. It happens. Yeah, he's 40-something. Right, exactly. But again, I don't think, we never get a depiction, of course, of... we never get a depiction of Theodred. We never meet him. He's dead before we get there. But nothing about his story as it's told suggests that he's in his 40s, right? So again, I think that that's something that was worked out later on. 41. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ardent Esoteric. I couldn't remember exactly. And yes, JJ, Bilbo and Frodo not married. Yeah, they are not a good example either. The bachelorhood of Bilbo and Frodo is odd. Yeah, it's unusual. It's countercultural. Sam is showing the normal way, right? Not just that Sam got married as soon as he got back, but that he obviously would have gotten married had he not left, right? Think about Rosie's reference to wasting time, which reminds me, Rosie Bug. I forgot to get back to your comment from before, but I didn't forget. Almost. I'm out of time, but I'll do it anyway. Rosie, you had mentioned that the majority of references to the word sea in The Lord of the Rings are capitalized. Yes, because there's only one ocean that is near them, right? And it is the sea. So sea is capitalized. This follows the patterns of Tolkien's capitalizations when he is using it, when he's using it essentially as a proper noun, right? The sea, not just lowercase s, like an ocean or a sea, right? The sea, like that sea. There's only one. There's only one sea. There's only one coastline that they're anywhere vaguely near, all along. Whether you're in Gondor or whether you're in the Shire, there's only one sea, the Great Sea, that is nearby them. So the Great Western Sea is so they're using it like a proper noun. it would very rarely be used in any other way. Like, you know, you might talk about like seafaring or sea lore or something like that, like some kind of phrase like that, using sea as with a lowercase s, right? Because then it's just sort of stuff about oceans, even though there's only really the one. Anyway, it makes all kinds of sense that the word sea would usually be capitalized in that way. Okay, exactly, Phil. When you're using it purely metaphorically, like a sea of flowers, yeah, you'd use it lowercase s there. Definitely. Yeah, when you're using it in similes or metaphors, absolutely. Okay, awesome. I gotta go. Thanks everybody for joining me today. Am I procrastinating telling Meraguth? Yes, I totally am not looking forward to completing this quest. So Gryfflet is going to shamelessly put this off for next week. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining me today. A lot of fun discussing with you guys today as usual. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye now. Thanks for joining in on my rambles around Standing Stone's brilliant digital adaptation of Tolkien's world. If you enjoy these adventures, please consider supporting this and other entertaining educational programming by donating at signumuniversity.org/fund.